Buenas, buenas. Welcome to Music Marketing TV. I'm Kevin Ochoa, and today I want to share with you some of my progress on my Twin 3 EP. Now, I've worked on a lot of the arrangements, a lot of the sound design on this previous weeks, so hopefully you enjoy some of the progress I made and enjoy some of the sounds that I've also added to the songs. Right now we have, I think, 5 or 6 songs. I'm not going to show all of them right now. I'm just going to show most of the ones that I've worked in the last couple of weeks inside of FL. There is one where it's kind of cinematic and it's in Cubase, but the rest of them are all in FL Studio. So I'm going to be showing those today. I have a Hardstyle one, Techno, actually 2 Techno ones, and let's see what else. How am I blanking out on this? A feature bass one and an acid track. So there's quite a bit of variation on it. It's all electronic, however, the tones and the timbres are vastly different from one track to another. So it shows how versatile Twin 3 is as a synthesizer, and also how much detail you can put into the sound when it's even just 4 subtractive or 4 oscillators with subtractive capabilities. I'm still very impressed with the synthesizer. I still keep learning it and finding new sweet spots to hit. So I want to share these sounds with you and these projects so far. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with a little preview for you guys of the Hardstyle track. Now, I've decided to split up this track into two different versions. I'm going to make a live track, which is going to be this one, where I'm pushing the envelope as far as I can with my CPU in live without rendering any audio. And then I'm going to make an original digital version, where I render out all the sounds and process them further and make them sound really precise, like modern hardstyle. But for now, I'm going as far as I can with my CPU. So hopefully, right now that I'm recording, it doesn't crack. But anyhow, I'm going to share some of this track with you, and then in a different next episode, I'll show you a little bit more about the sounds themselves, because we could take a couple hours with hardstyle. But anyhow, let's go ahead and play a few chunks of this, and then we're gonna hop over to the other tracks which have seen the most change in the arrangement. Okay, so let's go ahead and play from roughly right here. Okay, so I want to share that part with you and the ending as well. I want to leave the climax for the next part around. But here we go. Here's the outro drop. and that's some ridiculous progress compared to the other version of the track. Yeah, it's just much louder, much more distorted. I guess it could be a little bit overbearing for some people. I guess some people would like to have a little bit less distortion, make it sound a little bit more like a techno track. Maybe like, let's see, let's make this compact. But in my personal opinion, everything sounds a little bit better with more distortion. And I've improved a lot of these sounds a lot. Not just with processing, but also with movement from Twin 3. Let's see. Is it this one? No, it's this one. It's kick body 7. So I'm doing all these modulations on the basses, and as you can see, they're all quite a bit different, which is why in the last part of the drop, let's see, let's turn on all the kick bodies. They all sound so different. But anyhow, if you guys want to see like the thought process of most of the sound design, it's in the previous episodes. I just want to share the upgrade or the update, sorry, of the track because it's progressed quite a bit. But like I said, I want to share the climax part with you later on, and also compare it with the digital version once I have that digital version ready, because I've rendered out a lot of these clips and I started to layer them to make like a better sounding kick drum. As you can see, like even with the processing off, it just sounds so much better than the previous versions I had. So if you guys are interested in seeing how this sounded before, just go check it out in the previous video. Anyhow, let's hop over to the next track right now. All right, so here I have the orchestral future bass track. As you can tell, it's much more arranged and cleaned up. Before it was just one big chunk of like one big track. Actually, let's take a look at the old project real quickly, so you guys can see the huge difference that we have here. Let me zoom out right here. This is how this looks right now, and this is what it looked like a few weeks ago. Let's go to day 2, I think was the original one. Let's see. Let's just save the changes. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to load. But yeah, basically what I've been doing this past weeks is cleaning up the projects and getting them to be more arranged in sound design. And I think I'm going to continue doing that because as you can see, the projects are still very, very raw. So I think this was the first idea of this. It's not getting any audio. So you can see it's very, very simple so far. So that was the first iteration I had. Sounds pretty good. The textures are still like being developed there, and the main idea though is there, which was fantastic at the time. I felt really confident about this song, and I still feel like it's one of my favorite ones so far. And then I think, let's see, day 3. Let's see that. Yeah, this should be a little bit more like, how do you say, develop. This should have more parts and more instrumentation, but still a lot less than what I have right now, and much less mixed. And yeah, it's gonna be a bit smaller. Let's see, arrangement 1. This is still not even there yet. Let's look at the next one. Let's see. Let's look at 5. As we can tell, it doesn't take that long to load different projects when you're just using a VST plugins. However, right now it's taking a little bit because I'm using OBS. But let's see. Let's give it give it a little second. There you go. Okay, so this is the project like how it was before. It's really. I really took FL Studio's motto of from your brain to your speakers really literally, and I just made everything in basically just little chunks of patterns, and they're all super duper layered. Like, I would not do this in a real world project, but because I was trying to get my ideas out really quickly, I basically created just these patterns and copy pasted them and made it unique, and continue working and removing the notes that I didn't want and adding more instrumentation. So this is much more thought out now. So you see, it's sounding quite lovely. Like, it has the original idea, but it's much more grimy and a little bit more distorted, and a little bit less orchestral, more electronic, but still a lot of like little orchestration things here and there. Let's see if this has the little build up. So it has some of those little flourishing sounds that I have that are pitching up and down. So it's quite nice. It already has that, but still, it was still missing so much detail and so much information. Let's look at it now. It's going to take a little bit longer to load, but hopefully it doesn't take more than a minute or two. Yeah, I think now that I had over 300 patterns. Let's take a quick look at it. To the pattern picker. So there's the plugin picker, and then there's the pattern picker, which a lot of people don't actually know about, which is strange because this happens all the time at NAMM, where I right click on the plugin picker and people are like, "Whoa, what happened?" And it's a really good tip for FL Studio that you right click on the plugin picker and you get the pattern picker. And let me show you how many patterns there is in this track now, which is completely insane. Right click on there and boom. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So you guys do the math there. That's a whole lot of patterns. And I've rendered some few patterns here and there. But yeah, most of it's still MIDI. Let's take a listen to the whole track now. And that is a beauty so far. I really, really enjoyed working on the song. Yeah, there's so many changes, mixing wise and sound design wise, that I can't get to all of them. They're all super subtle though. So for the main gist, of course, go watch the first video, which is where you're gonna get the big explanation where I was saying that I wanted to do like an orchestral type of sound design, and that I was doing this crazy let me show you. All this crazy type of sound design that's a different type of synthesis. It's not really subtractive per se, but it does use subtractive in a way that you filter out noise and you resonate it to create a more acoustic or real sounding type of physical model tones. And I did this a lot throughout the track. There's also that in the trumpets section right here, and for the cellos as well. So without that, you don't get this dirtiness and this movement that you would expect from more acoustic sounding instruments. Check the RAM here. Let me just go back because I had the sine oscillator turned off. Because I tried to introduce a sine oscillator and it was too much. But yeah. So I went ahead and polished up the sounds a lot, to a point where I think they're not as abrasive as they were before, and they're a little bit more clicky, I feel. If we look at the harsh brass right here. Well, I still think it's a bit harsh. In the context of the mix, it really balances out. And I've done a lot of more static mixing choices. However, I think the next step I'm going to do for the next episode, I'll probably start doing my dynamic mixing where I'll do automation and whatnot, so I can mix the songs and the sounds better together. As you can see, even when I was showing you the track, there's moments where I changed like the volume. For example, on the snap, I brought the snap a little bit higher because I feel like it feels good in one part of the track, but in the other, like I need to push it up a little bit. Like in the intro right here, those snaps sound pretty nice. Let me play them back. And right there, they're a bit loud for my taste. However, if I were to bring them down over here where the other snaps are, let's see, over here. If I brought them down just, what, like 2 dB? They do sound a bit lost there, so I want to bring them up. So I need to do a lot of more dynamic mixing now, and I'm also going to do this inside of the plugin itself. If you can see here, I did this with the pluck already, and I've carried this over from the past versions of the track. But for example, right here, if I control this frequency peak offset and create an automation clip, for some reason there's an FL bug right now that's making the automation past the point where you start. I really need to figure out how to get rid of that because it's getting my nerves now. Probably check out the forum and see what they got to say, but here we go. So I'm going to automate this right here. And let's say I wanted something that's a little bit more resonant. So just doing that will change the song dramatically. I could also have it lower. Like little things like that will make the huge difference once I'm finished with the song. But again, that's a lot of sound design choices to make. And ones that I do want to share with you, or that I definitely do think they make a huge difference right now so far. The track sounded quite a bit boring before, because it felt like the songs or the sounds were like staticky. But once you add a lot of uplifters and downlifters and risers, it really helps a lot. Let me, for example, play you back this part of the track right here without these effects. And this is how the track was before. So I worked a lot on this arrangement changes for a lot of these tracks, and I said that with the techno arrangement as well. So I made a whole bunch of different pieces of sound design to help the songs out. Let me show you. I think I turned these two on by accident. But let me show you real quickly again without them. Kind of lacking excitement, but let's turn on I think it was Uplifter 2 that was on this track, and then the Downlifter 2. So let's check this out. So all these little movements help the track quite a bit. Without it, a lot of electronic music just falls apart completely. So there's all this subtle psychoacoustics that help out. Okay, so let's start off quickly remaking some of these patches. Here I have a sidechain noise with verb. It's create a new twin. Now I've tried to make this patch before. However, I wasn't really successful with it. So what I ended up doing was I uploaded a side scope and matched it with another sidechain noise that I had. But I kind of remember how to make the patch, so I set this to high quality, white noise, turn the reverb a little bit, and then I set this to mono, and let's add a XLFO. And here I set it to be 1/4, but I added, let me show you. I added 2 more steps. And the first one, I turned it into a square because the square has this nice little slope right here. And as compared to the linear, it's a bit more curved. Let me see. And then you can use the glide to change the smoothness of things, and the balance to change the balance of the oscillation on the LFO. So this pushes it a little bit forward, this pushes it a little back. So I push it a little bit back, and let me show you here what it sounds like once you put this on white noise. Let's just cut and paste this right here. And this is what it sounds like so far. Of course, I dropped the main release a little bit just so it don't get clicks. And then the other thing I did was I added an XLFO that was, I believe, 16 bars. And this one I switched it to be like so. So it starts off loud, becomes quiet, then goes loud again. Let's put this on this right here. And then I'll also put it on my main volume. Okay. If I want this to become really, really quiet, I can push this down and push this up higher. And there you can see how much louder it becomes. Now, this controller here is controlling the overall loudness, and this one over here is controlling the sidechain. So what you could do is grab this and put this on a controller, on an XY controller, or we can use an XY slider, either one. And we can use this to modulate both the level and the controller output volume. So now this is much more controllable. Let's push this up here, and let's push this lower. So now you can automate this in your DW, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. The other thing that I did was when I try to emulate the other noises that I had made before, I also ended up automating this right here, my filter cutoff. So I automated the filter cutoff by XLFO2 in this case, which is going to be my 16 bar. And I think in my patch I did it the other way, where this was the first LFO and this is the second one. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, let's push this up here. And it goes the other way. It starts off low and filters out high. So there you go. That's a cool way to do it. You can also start using delay. You can also make it really short and make it free. And you can make it really wide. So that's some really cool, easy tips for making your white noise wide and modulate it over time. Now let me go ahead and cut this pack into the noise patch right here. Should be this one, yeah. Okay. In this case, I'm also using the phaser, and that just makes it a little bit more phasey. And specifically for this track, I changed the main attack so it doesn't hit at the beginning. And the other thing I did was I changed this to be half note instead of quarter note. Yeah, because I think the one we made right now is going to be a little bit too quick. but we just need to drop this to half note. Should be good to go. So small changes like that will make and change your whole track. This is the same song without that white noise. Let's add it back in. Alright, so here I have the techno track. Let's play back to see how I've updated the track and what I got so far done with the arrangement. So let's go ahead and make my head small and let's play back the track. All right, there we go. So the track is much more thought out. I think before it was just like a 45-second build up and drop. And now I have the intro, the introduction of the melody, the climax kind of a chorus type of thing. And then we have another break with the bass line. And now the bass line becomes the more important part of the track. And we reintroduce the melody at the very end and exit with the melody. Now, it's a little bit awkward for techno arrangement, but I think so far it works. I might add a little bit later, but so far I'm happy with it. And a lot of techno has become a lot shorter, so I'm pretty happy with it. Let's go through the differences in the each track. I think let's start off with the kick. I think I added an EQ on this one. Let me just mute the other instruments. So we have a kick, and I added a Saturn 2. Sorry, an EQ. And with the EQ, I'm doing around 500 hertz. I'm doing 15 dB boost on the high end. Without it, I also tried to do this dynamically, and it kind of worked well, but it didn't do everything I wanted it to. Let me show you. Just put it roughly around there and equate it somewhere around there. Versus this. So I did try the dynamic EQ, but I felt like in this case, just the Pro Q3 with the regular high shelf was much better because it kept the distortion, the crunchiness of the punch, because it wasn't like acting as a transient shaper. It was more static. And then the other thing that I did, that was a big change that I'm not too sure of yet, is Supersaw. I updated it to be like a lot brighter. And before it sounded a bit more like this. So I think the old reverb, it sounds better than the new reverb I added, even though the Pro R2's like super precise and clean. Like if I was going for a hardstyle track, I'd go for this reverb, but because I'm doing something that's a bit dirtier, a bit more techno-ish, I think I'm gonna go with the old reverb. The other thing that I did was I added this EQ. And I had originally added just a tad bit of EQ, like a high shelf, but just like 5 dB and just a little bit sloped. Whereas over here, I'm much more aggressive with it. And I even cut some of the mid-range out, which maybe I should sidechain and have the choirs bleed into this part. However, without it, it sounds kind of muddy. Yeah, it's a bit muddy. So when I'm doing this type of smiley face EQ, it brightens up a little bit and it also cleans up the mid-range. Which would be 100% cool for a hardstyle track, but I'm not too sure about in the context of this track. I feel like it takes away the darkness. And between both the reverb and the EQ change, I feel like it might be a little bit much that I'm doing. See, that something like that would be a little bit more similar to what I had before. Let's see, 6.64 seconds. Let's make it a bit shorter. Maybe that's a nice sweet spot between them. Okay, so there you go. I also added a lot of effects to the track, like this impact right here. And this actually has a bass note. That sweeps down. However, I felt like it was a little bit too much, so I took it off. Okay, and that has a timeless 3, so there's a nice and smooth delay. Without it, it sounds a little bit more dry. So there you go. I'll show you how to build this patch a little bit later, because I use this to make a lot of other patches like this one. That's pretty darn clean and pretty darn good. I also have this one. Okay. And this one right here, which I really, really like. And actually, I should fix this right here. Make this unique. This one should be extended like that, because this one is a little bit shorter. Because this is what I'm exiting part of the track with. No wonder I felt like there's something that was missing, but check this out. In the context, when you put all these effects together, they make a huge difference. Let me play this without the effects. Let's add the effects in. That's definitely a lot of a smoother of a transition. Okay, so along with that, I also added some snares right here that are a lot harder. And this is based on some other presets that I've made before. So if you want to see these, go check out the, I think the drum emulation video that I made. And before I had these, which are just like trap claps, but I felt like they were too soft on the low end. Like in the high end, they're very bright and very, how do you say, abrasive, but in the low end, they're just lacking. So that, along with the body of the snare, help each other fill out those frequencies that the snare doesn't cover and the clap doesn't cover. So you can slowly start to see how the snare's resonant frequency builds into that clap and helps you solidify that build. So it's quite nice. I also did more automation throughout the whole track, as you can see here. And then the intro, there's a little bit of a thing, a little trick that I've done with the kick. I've made a little buildup with it, and then I exported it and I pitched it up. See that? So now with this automation, I can say, okay, I want the pitch to be a lot quicker. So let me change this. And also change it with the format change over here. It's very important that you change the format. I'll show you right now. See that? If you were not to change the format, it'd sound a little bit weird. Okay, so those are just some of the little cool things I've added to the song. Yeah, I'm gonna continue working on this, and then I'll let you know maybe in a week or two how this is sounding. So yeah, this is rather good right now. So I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, one last thing before I forget here. I also changed a little bit of the choirs. I applied a little bit more EQ. I did a mid-side EQ. Without it, sounds like this. Definitely gives a lot of width to the track, and also opens up space for some of the mid instruments, like the bass right here. Or I should show you here in the drop. You kind of feel how the track gets all congested and it sounds, you know, really like mid-range heavy. And once you add this type of EQ where you scoop out the mid-range and then boost the sides, you open up your space quite a bit. And you allow for more mid-side or mid-information from other instruments. And it definitely helps out when, for example, the choir keeps moving up and it becomes more, how do you say, resonant in certain areas. So yeah, it's definitely a godsend to be using a mid-side EQ like this because it's so good. All right, let's hop over to the next track. All right, so here I have the early techno, early hardstyle and techno track. It's a little bit happy, I would say, or melancholic is the right word. It's not happy, it's melancholic. It uses things that are not as dark as I usually would put in hardstyle. So that's why it feels like a little melancholic and happy at the same time. It's kind of weird. But yeah, the version of this song that I had before was, let's see, it looked a lot smaller. Let's see, project data. It looked like this. Actually, let me play back this, and then we'll look at the old version, okay? And there you go. There's my little techno early hardstyle track. Like the drums are kind of like early hardstyle, where the kick is like really overdriven, but it's not overly distorted like in modern hardstyle. Like it doesn't have like a lot of layers. Like it's just a kick and a bass. And the snare is a little hard, but it's not too hard. That sounds pretty modern. The clap is a little on the weak side though, because it kind of layers with the snare nicely. If that clap was more bottom heavy, it'd be kind of muddy. It's nice and clean. And yeah, I arranged this song a bit more. Before I had it looking like this. So you'll see that I did put quite a bit of work on this. And I'm hoping it doesn't take too long to load. But yeah, the idea behind the song was a little icicle particle. I think it's from a preset. And I had used it for another demo. And then I just kept it in my head like, wow. And then I started playing with it again, and wow, like the whole thing just came out of it. I think I tried to use the ARP, but I'm not too sure how the ARP sometimes works with Twin 3. Like every time I use it, I think like I got it down, but then it switches up on me. I don't know. Maybe I need to actually read through the manual this time around, because I'll skim through it, but I don't really get too deep into it. I usually speak to guys from FabFilter, and then they shine a really good light on the stuff that they let us know. And ta-da, there you go. There's icicle particles as it used to be. The little main thing is a preset that's included, I think, in Twin. Let's see. Oh, actually, no, it's not included. I made it. So yeah, there you go. I thought I had for a second not made it. Yeah, it's just I've just worked on so much music that and so many presets that I forgot. Yeah, so this is like I think I remember now. The idea behind it was to make it so that it kind of emulated some Corporal Strong stuff. So physical modeling. So basically, I would run waves or noises, into a filter, and then I would modulate it with a really fast LFO, which is what you see here. It's triggering the filter 2 frequency, which is probably the thing that's moving right there. And it's making really beautiful sound. So this track and the orchestral feature bass one were kind of like made around the same time, but this is a lot softer than the feature bass one that's really like abrasive and like has a lot of high frequencies. This is more mellow. Yeah, even there's just a little oscillator with the filter on it. sounds rather lovely. So I just tune this to, I think, a C note, and then I modulate it with the filter frequency 2, or with the XLFO1, and then I add the other oscillators. Actually, let me turn all of them on at the same time. And they're all doing their own little thing. I'm also adding a lot of reverb. And some delay. Yeah, without it sounds kind of like a toy. But once you put the reverb, it almost sounds like a texture, like little birds and little pieces of ice moving around. So I really, really liked it. I liked it so much, I ended up making a different part to it. That's basically the same patch, but just sustained. And it just sounds so pretty. And that's I really contrast it with a really harsh kick drum, right? And the point where it's very different from the version I have now, besides the fact that it's just like looping around over and over again for like 2-3 minutes, was I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do in the breakdown, so I started doing this pitching thingy. Watch. Starts kind of right here. In theory, it sounds really nice by itself, but when it comes to song, I really, really thought I could actually make a whole song with just this one preset, but that's not the case. So yeah, what essentially I'm doing here is I'm using the filter frequency offset to create the difference in the pitch glides, because since all these oscillators are resonating and being pushed into distortion a little bit, you can actually tune your filter to different tones. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm changing them with this filter frequency offset, because they're all going to change together. And it sounds different than the master tune. With the synthesis technique that I was using, where I'm resonating or modulating the filter and using noises or white noise, yeah, it makes a huge difference, and I think the filter frequency offset sounds a bit more natural in my ears. You can find these nice little sweet spots here and there. However, of course, in the original pitch, it's always going to sound the most harmonically precise, along with your chord progressions. So yeah, I really like that patch, as you can see. And yeah, I turned it all into that big icicle particles track. And again, let's go look at it briefly for a second again. As you can see now, there's no funny business of pitch gliding right here. And as you can tell, it has an idea where we're actually progressing through the track. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, that you learned something new today, and that you're able to apply this newfound knowledge into your own music. I want to thank you for being here with us at Music Marketing TV. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and also ring that notification bell so you stay up to date with all our Music Marketing TV videos. Once again, I'm Kevin Ochoa, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.